Hey friends, I'm going to take a step back from speaking into the COVID crisis this season we're in to speak into another crisis that's happening in our country. It's the ongoing atmosphere and actions of racism, of injustice, just absolutely devastated. When I heard the news about Ahmaud Arbery, just running. All he was doing was running, and he's senselessly shot. And it's just like, golly, why does this keep happening? And feeling like I want to do something about it. And I'm a pastor. What would I do? What's my role? And if you're noticing, by the way, a hesitation in my voice now, and if you noticed it throughout these thoughts that I share, I'm very aware of my thoughts being incomplete and insufficient. And so if after listening to this, after watching this, you're like, that was incomplete, insufficient, I'm aware of that, and I feel hesitant. But I do want to love, I do want to care, I do want to pastor. God's called me to shepherd a group of people. So if you're not part of Jubilee Church, I hope this helps you and encourages you. I got a few things to share from the scriptures. I hope it encourages you, but I want you to know that I'm not doing this because I feel like I've got this I've got this angle on culture, and I've got some answers here, because I don't. I just don't. I'm called by God to shepherd a group of people, and He's called me to point them back to Him, and to point this group of people back to His Word. And so Jubilee Church, that's what I want to do. So again, I hope this helps you. I love you. I care for you, and I want us to be all that God's called us to be. And as I was leaning into prayer this morning, there's a few things that God dropped in my heart. First of all, just a reminder that He is near the brokenhearted. So for those of us who may be tempted to be apathetic and not instantaneously feel grieved and disappointed and discouraged by the lack of justice, by the injustice, don't lean on what you see. Don't lean on your understanding. In fact, then the Proverbs say that not to lean on your understanding, to trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your understanding. Acknowledge Him in all your ways, and He will direct you. He will guide you in how you're to think and to feel and to act. And God is near the brokenhearted. God is near those who, especially those who are experiencing injustice, those who are marginalized. And when we don't feel that, that's not because that's the way we see it. It's the way we see it. The way we understand the world is wrong, and we need to get near the heart of God. So that's an opportunity for us to get near the heart of God, and to be a brother, to be a sister, to be family. I just cannot imagine being afraid of jogging in a neighborhood. I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine being afraid to drive my car at night, wondering if I'll get pulled over and something will happen. I've talked to spouses who get afraid when their husbands go out. And that's not my experience, but man, I don't want them to feel unsafe. And I think what makes them feel more unsafe and exposed and isolated and alone is if we're not empathetic, if we're not caring. You and I, everybody wants to know that somebody has their back. I lead and I go out on a limb a lot, and what empowers me, what emboldens me, what gives me confidence is knowing that people have my back. Of course, ultimately I need to know that what I'm doing is of God and He's with me, but He, in His wisdom, He's put people around me, and we all need people who say, I've got your back. So I just want those, especially my African American brothers and sisters, but I would just go ahead and say every person of color, I just want you to know that I have your back, and I'm with you. And I want to invite us as a community to be a family, to be together, and to have each other's back, and to be there and to support each other, to be near the brokenhearted, to weep with those who weep. It has to happen. I think secondly, I thought about how can I encourage those who I think are beset with anguish over the injustice. I think we should all be unsettled. But what about those of us who just I mean, I think are maybe feel driven into the ground, feel a sense of despair. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Again, I told you this is going to be incomplete, insufficient. Just to say, if you are grieving over this, I want you to know that's okay. So if you're not ready to hear what's next, then that's okay. Hit pause on this, watch it some other time. But if you're ready, here's what I believe the Bible would point to us. God pointed me to Psalm 37 that speaks directly into when we see evil happening and it seems like they're succeeding. In fact, that's what it says in Psalm 37. It says, "Fret not yourself because of evildoers. Fret not because of do not be envious of wrongdoers, for they will soon fade like the grass and wither like the green herb." Skipping down to verse 5, "Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. He will bring forth your righteousness as the light and your justice as the noonday." That's what we want to hear. "Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in his way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself. It tends to only do evil." In other words, saying, look, don't let anger burn you up. Injustice is happening, but what can be worse than the injustice is the anger that eats you from the inside out. "For evildoers shall be cut off, but those who wait for the Lord shall inherit the land." So look, again, my job is to point us back to God. We should be engaging in seeking justice. There are things that we can do and we should do to seek out justice. We should put an end to this. We should not be content with this at all. We should press forward until it ends. But this is where I would just want to stop us on this trail, or encourage us to pause here, is not to put our hope in that. So we should pursue it. The Bible says we should pursue it. We should go after it. We should seek to put an end to any injustice here on earth. We should give our lives to that. However, we stop short of putting our hope in that. I mean, so the Bible is telling us here that when we see evil people prospering, not to fret, not to worry, because they are temporary. Evil is temporary, and the people who commit evil acts are temporary. God's justice, God himself and his justice are eternal, and they will win the day. He has won the day on the cross. He absorbed injustice. He became a victim of injustice. And he took that on our behalf, so that one day he will wipe away every tear. And there'll be no death, no disease, no racism of any kind. And that's where we put our hope. That's where we put our anchor. We work toward justice, but we don't put our hope in every wrong being made right on this earth, because some have died. We may die. We will die with there being injustice in the world. So if we put our hope in there, we'll be driven to despair because we have misplaced our hope. Let's put our hope in the Lord. Let's find our encouragement in the Lord. Whether you're apathetic, let's go to God. Whether you're angry, let's go to God. Whether you're in despair, let's go to God. He's got green pastures for us. He's got still waters. He loves us, and I love you. I love every single one of you.